Hello everyone, my name is Roya, and today I'm coming to you with the books that I read in the second half of March. I actually read 12 books in the second half of the month, but one of them is a Wednesday Books title, so I will not be talking about it today. Wednesday Books has not met our boycott demands. So if you don't know about the boycott, I will leave a link down below. But basically, in lieu of talking about Wednesday Books titles in a video when we read one, we basically just say the next book is a Wednesday Books title, and I'm not saying what it is, etc., etc. So, so unfortunately, I cannot talk about that book, which is also really sad because it is an Iranian book, and I'm an Iranian reviewer, and a really big part of my platform is talking about these books. So please, Wednesday Books, just let us just meet our demands and let us get back to talking about books. So anyway, the rest of the books on this list I will go ahead and talk about. So firstly, I finally read the Son Trilogy by Robin Hobb, consisting of Shaman's Crossing, Forest Mage, and Renegade's Magic by Robin Hobb. This is the only series she's written that is not part of the Land of the Elderlings. It is completely separate. And I do much prefer the Land of the Elderlings to this, but I did still think this was really good. I do think that the first book took a good while to really get going, but I do think the second book was actually my favorite in the series. So this series follows a society in which someone's birth order determines what job they do. So all second sons of a noble family go to become soldiers. And obviously we see pretty quickly throughout this series that one's birth order is not a very good qualifier for how good they are at that job, all of that. So anyway, in the second book, the reason why I like it so much is because basically our main character goes home for his brother's wedding, and on his journey home he somehow gets really fat, and the cause is actually something magical, so he cannot seem to lose the fat no matter what he does. Even if he works out, gains muscle, he really doesn't seem to lose fat. So his family, so he gets discharged from the military, his family just really blames him and says why are you doing this, why did you get fat, as if it's his fault. And it really hit very close to home because I've struggled with an eating disorder on and off and on throughout my life, and it really got really bad just a couple years ago. And so basically, yeah, it was a really good parallel to how our society just assumes things about fat people. Path of Fate by Diana Farah Francis. This is a book that I thought was good, but I feel like it was trying to get into kind of how society treats women, but didn't get as deep into that as it could have. And most of the conflict there that relates to that has to do with someone that the main character is trying to find, who then gets, she's the only one suffering the consequences of her getting kidnapped when that was something that happened to her, clearly not her fault, all of that. So it was all a really good theme to the story, but I feel like since it was something that happened to someone other than the main character, someone we barely see in the story, the point it was trying to make was just not as there as it could have been. Song of Flight by Juliette Marillier. This is the third and I believe final book in the Harp of Kings series. I'm not going to go into too much about what it is about because it is the last book in a series and all of that, but basically this series is about a girl who becomes a warrior slash spy slash bard. Just Another Epic Love Poem by Parisa Akhbari. This is about a girl who is Iranian and going to Catholic school, basically because that's just the best school in her area, I guess, and so she and her sister have to just kind of not say anything about the fact that they're not Catholic. She ends up making friends with this other girl at her school and falling in love with her, and so it starts with them being friends and not knowing that they can say anything to each other. Because it is really, really good. I feel like there was so much messy teenage conflict in here, which was really, really on point. I do think that it could have been a lot better, though. I think that the conflict we got was very surface level. It wasn't even though it deals with some tough topics like having a parent who is on drugs and stuff like that, it definitely has a lot going on, but I feel like we get so little actual stuff happening on page. I think it could have been a lot better in that regard, but I think it was really good and I really liked it. From Here by Kelly Yang. I have really enjoyed Kelly Yang's books lately. They're so good, but this one is about a boy who goes back to the US from China at the beginning of COVID in China before it's hit the US, and so they think that they're safe in the US, and but then of course since they are half Chinese and they came from Hong Kong and all of that, even though they're not saying anything about being Chinese. They're just saying like, oh, we arrived here from Hong Kong whenever anyone asks where they came from. And so it really gives a good glimpse into what a lot of Asian Americans actually experienced during COVID and all of that. And it was really funny and lighthearted at the same time, and our main character has ADHD, and it's really apparent even before he actually finds out. So I thought that was really cool too, and I really, really liked this book. Black Wings Beating by Alex London. This is a book that I liked, but I didn't really enjoy it as much as I thought I would. It's basically about these two twins who are very gifted with controlling birds of prey and connecting with them, getting them to do what they want them to do, etc., etc. And the one who has more of an aptitude for it kind of doesn't want to and doesn't really want anything to do with it, whereas her brother, who he like wishes that he had her abilities, kind of. And so it is really good. I kind of just thought it was a little, you know, just okay, and since this is the first book in a series, I think maybe it was kind of setting up the story for the rest of it, kind of. The Fireborn Blade by Charlotte Bond. This comes out on May 28th. I got the ARC from NetGalley. This is actually a novella length story. It's less than 200 pages. I thought it was going to be a lot longer, but this was actually one of my most anticipated releases. It follows a female knight going after a dragon, but the story is a lot more than that. Basically, she has this squire with her who had insisted on going with her, and she's like not so sure about him, and all of that, and she doesn't really understand, it seems like he's keeping something from her about his reason for going, and she can sense that he's kind of a douchebag, even if he doesn't outwardly say anything. And so it's really good at kind of having a theme of women being deemed not as important in society, and people kind of just dismissing women's accomplishments and all of that. But I did feel like the whole thing was ultimately a little bit convenient, especially at the end. But I do think that it had a lot of really good ideas throughout the story. And finally, the Nightmareverse trilogy by L.L. McKinney. This is basically a modern-day Alice in Wonderland that's also kind of an urban fantasy. It's like part urban fantasy, part portal fantasy. It was so, so good. Basically, it follows our main character, Alice, who before our story starts, she has already been, you know, going into another world and killing monsters, etc., etc. And her mother is really worried about her when she goes into this other world and like doesn't answer her phone, etc., etc., because she doesn't actually know what she's doing. She can't tell her mom that she's like killing monsters and putting herself in this dangerous situation every day, all of that. And basically in their community, this one black girl was killed for coincidentally wearing the same colors as a gang because she was at a sports event and that was a sports team's colors. And so her mom and basically everyone are on like high alert for like, oh no, don't go anywhere, and oh no, like my daughter's not answering her phone, etc., etc., like did something happen? And so it's really good. It's such an incredible fantasy book that kind of plays off of Alice in Wonderland while also making it its own in this really great way that really worked super well. So there were like a few things I think that could have been done differently, but overall it was such a good book, or such a good series. I was actually only going to read the first book, but then I was so into it that I checked out the other two as well. But anyway, so those are all the books, well, not all of them, I'll save one because I didn't talk about the Wednesday Books title, but I will review that one once Wednesday Books meets our demands of the boycott. So anyway, those are the books that I read in the latter half of March. If you've read any of them and have any thoughts on them, let me know. And thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!